welcome back. Today we are going to be trying something new, a new kind of fish I've never tried before. Suckers. So it is sucker season. There's lots of suckers out here coming out the rivers and hordes of them. So we went and harvested a few at one of our local rivers today. So we got a big bucket of them here, and what we're gonna do today is we're gonna cut these up and smoke them. So I've never done this before, just kind of winging it a bit here. Looked at a couple recipes and some ideas. All right, let's get at it. So let's get started here. So first we're gonna start by cutting the head off of these things. So right behind the fins, cut right down. Well, I like to use my deer skinning knife for this. You're cutting through a lot of bones, and I don't like to dull my good flay knife. Throw the heads in for the bear bait bucket. Split them down the center. Pull the guts out. Pretty standard. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to split these in half, so run right along the spine and don't quite cut through where the tail is. We're just going to leave that piece right there and then resume through the top. Try not to cut yourself. You want to split it in half and leave that tail piece just like that. We're going to cut off all these tails and fins. Alright, there you have it. No fins on there. Split down the center. Pretty basic. I'm going to clean those up a bit and then get those ready for the smoker. So now you're just going to want to rinse these extremely well. Get all the sucker stank off them. Rinse them in cold water, and that's about it. Alright, so I got these all washed out with cold water. Now we're just going to dry them with some paper towels. I always like to dry my fish when I'm smoking extra well. Take a lot of time, a lot of paper towels, and dry these up, and we'll get to brining. Alright, so I've got all my dried pieces laid out here in just a Tupperware container. We're going to be using a pretty basic brine here, just some brown sugar and some kosher salt. We're going to let those soak for, well, we'll give her about a day to soak and keep refrigerated at the same time, and should be good. Alright, so we're just going to mix up our brine here. Extremely basic. Some brown sugar. Just use accordingly to the amount of fish you have. This is going to be pretty much your base, so we'll use probably about half a bag here. Might be a little much, but better too much than too little. Alright, put your brown sugar in there. We're going to use about this much kosher salt. That's it. Mix it all together. Okay, so now we're just going to get our brine, salt, brown sugar. And we're just going to spread graciously over these open split pieces of fish. You want to just cover that all as good as you can, and it's going to turn to liquid after it sits there a while. So get a good amount in there. And we're just going to layer these since we've got a couple more fillets here to go. And there we go. So we're gonna put those in the fridge and let them soak overnight, and we'll catch up with you after that. Good night. All right, so we let that brine for, well, overnight. Well, into the next day, and we're gonna see how they look here. So just pulled them out of the fridge, and you can see there, all soaked in nice. So what we're gonna do now is just rinse these out with some cold water, and we will put them out to dry. So the drying process is probably one of the most important, I find, in this, so you don't get all the drips and the creosote and stuff in your smoker. Helps a lot, so it just does a lot neater of a job, and I think it turns out better. But stay tuned. Alright, so what I've done now, I've just I dried these off well, and I hung them on the rack here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let these dry. It's a good little breeze out here today, so I'm just going to leave them in the breeze way. It's early in the year, so not a ton of flies yet, so that's good. So we'll dry these off all nice, and then we'll get to smoking as soon as these are good and dry. Alright, so what I've actually done here is I put them inside the garage. It's getting a little hot outside. It's a little bit cooler in here. We've got some air moving on them, and these dried out quite fast, so we're gonna put these in the smoker now. It's only been drying for about 2 hours, but they seem dry, no moisture, nothing, no drips or anything. So I'm gonna throw these things in the smoker and throw pan chips in. And you see the tops here. Some of these I split a little too far, so I had to secure them with like a little bit of hay wire there, but seems to be working fine. Alright, in we go. We're gonna use some hickory smoking wood bits. Fire that up. Let's go, Big Chief. Looking good. Alright guys, so we had a bit of a disaster here. As you can see, as soon as the fish started to get soft, it fell off the rack, except for the ones that I had tied on there. So lesson learned, secure all of them with wire. So I'm going to finish these off on the rack here. We'll be back in business in a few minutes. Alright, so disaster averted. We got our fish on the rack here. Gonna finish it off, run another pan of smoked chips through there, and should be good to go. Give that about an hour. Alright, it's been a couple hours here. Let's see what we got. Baby. It's looking pretty good. That looks perfect to me. Nice flaky white meat. Just gonna let that get to room temperature and we'll try this out. Looks good though. Alright, so left all those bones in here, so you just eat off the rib bones like. Pretty good. Yeah, nice smokiness to it for sure. Good texture. Not super mushy, a little flaky. You have a beard comb after. Great source of meat, close by, and extremely delicious. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. Hopefully we'll be on the water next time you see us and get into some action. Later.